Way to go for those of you who have successfully submitted their college apps. For those who still need to polish their college apps, don't be anxious that the deadlines are approaching. As long as you submit your college applications before the deadline, you're still in the race. Just don't try to push it off until the last minute. Today, I would like to guide you with how I prepared for the interviews for the schools that I've gotten into: Princeton, MIT, and Columbia. As far as I know, Caltech has no interviews for undergraduate admissions, but check with Caltech for any changes for your admission cycle. I also used these tips for the interview for my state school, where the interview was mandatory for a scholarship program. So, here are 7 tips for conquering the college interview. Tip number 1, check your emails frequently. I do understand that after clicking the submit button for each college you applied to, our senioritis kicks in and we just don't want to do any more work. But just about 2 weeks to 1 month after you submit your applications, you will be contacted by an alum from each college to conduct interviews. In my case, each college alum interviewer emailed me about their intention to interview, their availability, and when the interview should be completed by. So it is crucial to check your emails as frequently as possible, multiple times a day, to not miss any important emails from the alums who will be conducting the interviews. Tip number 2, respond ASAP. After receiving an interview email, try to respond as soon as possible. The interviewers are usually local alums who are in charge of conducting interviews for applicants in your area. For example, I try to schedule my interviews on the weekends whenever possible because I'm usually busier with schoolwork and extracurricular or volunteer activities after school, so I'm a bit tired during the weekdays. Tip number 3, brainstorm questions the alum could ask you. Use your application to brainstorm questions you could be asked. This is where your personal theme can come in handy. Please check out my previous video on creating a theme to learn more about this concept. In my case, I used my theme of being an aspiring scientist who's passionate about the arts and cultural diversity to think of questions I could be asked in each of these 3 areas. Then I organized these potential questions by topic. For example, under cultural diversity, I prepared to share the story about why I founded the Cultural Diversity Club at my school and what was its impact on my community. This is because I listed the Cultural Diversity Club in my activities section of the Common App, and it was one of my major themes. Luckily, I also had older siblings who interviewed at colleges I was interested in. By combining their experiences with the questions that I brainstormed, I created a pool of interview questions that I tried to prepare answers to ahead of time. And surprisingly, I was actually asked many of these questions during my actual interviews. Here are some of the most common questions I received. Tip number 4, brainstorm questions to ask the alum. The alum interviewers usually reserve 5 to 10 minutes of your interview time to address any questions you, the applicant, may have for the alum. So, I researched online about each college to jot down any questions I could ask the interviewer during this time. Most of my questions ended up being about the college's campus culture and the alum interview's experience at the college, because I found that this information is usually harder to grasp from the college's website. In my case, my 2 main goals with these questions were to, number 1, show my continued interest in the college, and number 2, I really hoped to learn more about each college in case I was lucky enough to be in a decision-making situation later in April to choose one college that I will commit to attend. Tip number 5, do a test drive to the interview. If the interview is in person, consider doing a test drive to the interview location. Take note of how long it takes to arrive and where you can park, so that you can plan to arrive a little bit early on the actual interview day. In my case, all of my interviews were online via Zoom. So I practiced finding the Zoom link, turning on my mic and camera, and checked how I and my background appeared on camera. A tip for virtual interviews is to give your phone number to your interviewer ahead of time, such as in the final confirmation email when you're scheduling the interview, so that you can communicate in case of any unexpected technical difficulties during the interview. Tip number 6, dress to impress. I don't necessarily mean ball gowns and dress suits, but how you dress can communicate your attitude towards the interview. So I tried to dress professionally or business casual to show that I care about the interview and that I'm genuinely interested in learning more about the college. Since my interviews were on Zoom, I put more effort into my top half, which was a comfortable blouse with a blazer or cardigan. Tip number 7, send a thank you note. The interviewers are often volunteers who are graciously offering their time to represent the college to you and to represent you back to the admissions officers. If you get the chance, consider sending a thank you email or card after the interview to show your gratitude for their time and the opportunity to learn more about the college. A quick note for preparing mid-year reports. Mid-year reports show your senior year grades so far, and these mid-year reports are usually sent by your high school counselor to each college you applied to, sometimes through a third-party service, such as Naviance, if you applied through the Common App. For some schools that don't use the Common App, such as MIT, you need to self-report your senior year grades so far on your own MIT application portal. Most importantly, if you are taking any course outside of your high school, such as at a college through dual enrollment, these grades are not often included in the mid-year report prepared by your high school. In these cases, it is your responsibility to request that a transcript be sent from the college you're enrolled at to the colleges you're applying to, usually through a third-party service such as Parchment. It is important for these mid-year report grades to be received by the colleges you're applying to before their mid-year report deadlines. As second semester seniors, senioritis can be really tempting, but keep up the momentum and spring will greet you with good news. I hope my interview tips that helped me get into Princeton, MIT, and Columbia can be helpful as you prepare for your college interviews. Caltech did not conduct interviews as part of the admissions process for my admission cycle, but please check with Caltech for any future updates. Please subscribe, like, or leave a comment, and I can make more videos to share more tips about the college application process and how I made my final decisions. I hope this video is helpful, and best wishes to everyone watching this.